Have you ever been broken? Just broken. It could be simple things that have happened in your life, and it goes from simple to very complex, intricate situations that may even require you having to talk to someone. Brokenness can result from childhood trauma. It can even occur in our older, more seasoned years. You know how much I hate that O word, in our seasoned years. And it calls to mind a point in my life when I felt broken. And it was my first heartbreak. My heart got broken when I was in pre-K, and it got broken by what I thought was my best friend, and who turned out not to be my best friend, because I learned early on that just because you choose someone, it doesn't necessarily mean that they choose you. And for a long time, it kind of excluded me, in that I excluded myself from certain relationships because I didn't want to get my heart broken. And imagine that was like in pre-K. And looking back at it, I see where there were so many opportunities that I missed for friendships and engagement with other people because I didn't want to feel that level of hurt again. But once I faced up to it, what had happened, and I shed some light on the situation, and I was able to take what my part was in it. Yes, I didn't set boundaries and I didn't understand. I did get the signs that, hey, this was not a best friend situation, but I didn't want to listen. Once I had to assess all of that, I was able to deal with the problem and move on. And in creating relationships, realize that it may or may not happen. I might get hurt. But if I just stay in the situation that I'm at, I will never create any kind of relationship. And strangely enough, it reminded me of David. And I'm like, David? Like, really? When did David ever get his heart broken? David was the one to break hearts. And specifically, I remember what he did to Uriah. I mean, David was there. He's the king. He has everything. He wasn't in this particular battle. And he's there on the top of his rooftop, and he looks out and he sees this woman taking a shower, and it's Bathsheba. And he's like, oh my gosh, she's fine as all get out. I want that woman. And he called for her. They brought her to his temple. And David did what he did because he's Mr. Bombastic and Mr. Charming. And it resulted in Bathsheba getting pregnant. And instead of David owning up to that which he had done, he called in Uriah and tried to trick him to having relations with his wife. It didn't work because Uriah was a righteous man, and he's like, how can I do that when my men are on the battlefield? I'm not going to do that. And so David resolved to have Uriah killed. He was the one that was breaking the hearts, and he thought that he would be able to get away with this horrible heartbreak, this terrible thing that he had done. And the prophet at the time, Nathan, he's like, hey, he told him this story of a man stealing another man's sheep, and David is like, oh my gosh, that man should be killed. And he's like, yeah, you should be killed because that was all about you. So light had to be shone on the situation. If your heart is broken, light needs to be shone, or you need to shine light onto that situation. Own up to whatever that situation is. And no, you may not have been the one to cause the heartbreak. Somebody may have broken your heart. But you have to shine light on that situation. We can't fix problems that we don't shine light on. We can bury them and we can attempt to ignore that they're there. But the fact is, it's there. It's like having a pile of garbage in your house and you smell it. It stinks, it stinks, it stinks. You may cover it up, you may walk around it, but the fact of the matter is the stench is still there. You have to shine light onto that situation, and then you have to deal with that situation. So David, he shone light on it. He accepted that, oh my gosh, I did a horrible thing. I basically stole another man's wife, and now she's bearing my child. And there he was in prayer and fasting because he was so broken. He was convicted that what he did was right. He owned up, he took his part. And even when our hearts are being broken, after we've shone light on it, we need to take our part in the situation. Did we not set healthy boundaries? Did we not adhere to the signs that these individuals or this situation had presented to us? Were we being ignorant? Let's take our part, whatever part we might have played in that moment. We have to assess And David assessed. And he prayed and he prayed and he prayed. And the child was born. And then when the child died, which is mind-boggling, after the death of the child is when David stopped praying and got up and he went and he ate. And it looked kind of odd because you're like, what? He accepted the judgment that was placed upon him. He's like, why do I need to cry for this child anymore? I will see him when I die. He took ownership of it. He shone light upon it, and he was accountable. So even when our hearts get broken, we have to still own up to whatever part we might have played in that. Because oftentimes we do get signs and symptoms. Oftentimes we choose to ignore that because we may want to still be a part of that person's life. I still wanted to be a part of my so-called friend's life. So when she didn't choose me first, I was like, it's okay. When she didn't want to sit with me, I was like, it's okay. Until it was blatantly obvious that this was an association. And as much as you want to be my friend, I don't want to be your friend. That's bad. And I came to terms with it, as did David, as do we. We need to come to terms with those situations. We need to forgive ourselves and forgive the other person. Some of the times reconciliation may come and sometimes it won't. I mean, David couldn't reconcile with Uriah. He had him killed. He had to forgive himself and he had to move on. And there are times when that is hard to do. And those are the times when we need to take those burdens to Christ. We need to lay our frustrations, our fears, our heartbreak on the altar and ask God to really heal us from those things, because some of these burdens that we carry, some of these heartbreaks, they're heavy and they may seem beyond our ability to let go. But if we ask God to take them and we make that effort to let go, and letting go sometimes feel almost like a physical release. I know for me it definitely feels like a physical release. I have to will my mind and my heart and my spirit to just let it go. And once I let it go, I free God's hand to carry those issues, those problems, those heartbreaks, and to set me free. So if you're carrying a heartbreak, if you just don't want to face it, the longer you ignore it, the more it becomes a problem. And I know sometimes we need to go seek some professional help, and there's no shame in the game. We all have a different road to travel towards recovery, but we can recover from those things that threaten to really derail all the potential and the possibility. And even in that trauma, there can and is the purpose for us to glorify God. But we must trust Him. We must let go and let God. So may God give us the ability to shine the light, to take our part in a situation and to let go and to move on. So until next time, know that God loves you. And yes, you can get through this.